Good morning. That's Double Eagle Mountain between those two buttes over there. And I'm going to break here to talk a little anime.
Haibane Renme.
Every now and then I get to see something that's really unique, not just a tweak on some previous paradigm. If it happens to be good too, well then that's really something to rave about. Haibane Renme is such a breath of fresh air, an ethereal fantasy anime from 2002. Let's look in on the town of Glee. It's a plain and simple town, but it's home to a few very unusual residents. A new girl arrives to the old home, born rather traumatically from a cocoon, already a young woman. She's greeted by a handful of friendly new neighbors, wearing good cheer and smiles, and halos and small feathery wings. They fit their disoriented guest with a newly forged halo of her own, a ring that, at first, doesn't quite want to stay above her head where it's supposed to. Soon, the newcomer's own wings sprout from her back as well, a rather painful process. Once they're cleaned off, they're lovely wings, charcoal feathers. In this case, charcoal refers to the ash-gray color of burned charcoal, not the dark of coal. This new feather is called a haibane. Like all newborn haibane, she has no memory of her past, not even her name. But she knows the language and knows how to do daily tasks such as reading, cooking, or riding a bike. Her fellow haibane ask about the dream she had while in the cocoon, something that's only vaguely remembered. For this newborn, it's a sensation of falling through the sky. From that, they give her name Raka, which means falling. Perhaps this barely recalled dream is some tiny vestige of a past life. The haibane who spends the most time with Raka is named Reki, which means pebble. Reki will explain that in her own cocoon dream, which she doesn't remember well at all, she thought she was walking on a path of small stones, hence her name. Following Raka, this anime will introduce us to the other haibane who live with her in Old Home, and to the adjacent town of Glee. Most of the town of Glee is a human town, but it's surrounded, beyond the farm fields and woods, by a high stone wall that protects the haibane from the unknown world outside. Everyone in Glee seems pleasant, friendly, and cheerful, especially to the haibane. This is a mostly kind and gentle world. There's a temple outside of town that's home to the Haibane Renme, a society that cares for the haibane in Glee, though the rules and rituals aren't as familiar as the iconic halos and wings we've seen so far.
Reki.
Oh, back already. So, are you all finished? Did you see the communicator?
Yes, but I got scolded since I couldn't move my wings.
You shouldn't worry about it.
This 13-episode series will explore the many traditions of Glee and its haibane. It's mostly a quiet, spiritual journey. While the halos and wings are Christian imagery, Haibane Renme is imbued with the traditions of several religions. The anime deftly downplays any specifics of the religion and concentrates instead on the spiritual journey of the individual souls. Early on, very little of consequence happens. We just get to know this unusual setting and the main characters by following Raka as she's introduced to it, and that's intriguing enough to keep us entertained for those early episodes. These early episodes are peaceful and even have a quiet sense of humor about them. Initially, Raka is the focus of the story, and by following her introduction to the town, we learn a lot about the town and a lot about her and her struggles. But as the cast expands, the story slowly shifts to place Reki at its center, filling in some background for her as a haibane and letting us in on her own troubles. In this gentle cocooning environment, the dramatic conflicts are strictly psychological and spiritual, but they're no less real or poignant for us. And by the time Haibane Renme reaches its emotional climax, it's a major melodrama. What are the haibane and what is Glee? Is this some way station for the soul on a path to paradise? Or is this a place for brief rest for spirits between sojourns in the real world beyond the wall? Or is it something else entirely? Does every soul pass through Glee? Or is this just a chance at redemption for those whose previous lives ended badly? Despite the obvious religious themes, God is only mentioned explicitly a couple of times in the series. Each of the half-dozen charcoal feathers of Old Home has a distinct but likable personality, from the laid-back Nemo to the enthusiastic Ku. But just about everyone in this anime is pleasant enough, and the storytellers draw us into their amazing world and give us every reason to wish all of them well. The story is wise enough not to over-explain itself, but trusts us to fill in our own explanations for these and many other questions. At one point in the story, the Haibane finds some old manuscripts that are partially readable, and they try to fill in the origin of this world. They can't read it all, so they fill in the gaps with their own imagination and write their own story. I think that's the authors encouraging us to do much the same. If this anime has any misstep whatsoever, I thought it was the voiceover during the denouement, which is just about the only time it tried to explain anything to us. I think it would have been stronger without that. Haibane Renmei is the creation of Yoshitoshi Abe, who conceived the story as an early amateur work. He also wrote the screenplay for the anime. It's pretty clear this is a personal expression of his. The animation is from Radix, and it's clean and serviceable. Glee is a town much like any other, and few of the visuals will dazzle you outside of their context within the story. The music from Ko Otani is simply sublime. He's provided a couple of wonderful themes that he uses for either full orchestra or a soulful piano solo. It complements the mysterious and spiritual moods of this story beautifully, without being intrusive, and it stands up well on its own, too. Suffice it to say, I bought the soundtrack CD, too. Pioneer's English dub wasn't bad. All the main roles were well voiced. The Japanese may offer a little more nuance, however. I give Haibane Renmei the full 5 stars. It's a breathtakingly imaginative and original and powerful spiritual journey that deftly leaves its themes vague enough so each viewer can take his own private emotional journey with the Haibane. Pioneer Genion produced the North American release of Haibane Renmei, and that's sadly now out of print. The first DVD in the set came with a helpful little booklet that introduced us to the town of Glee and the enchanting world of the Haibane.
Thanks for listening.